So thank you for joining me today again on P-Zone. I remain myself, Moses Shegun Abolade. And on P-Zone, this particular episode, we'll be looking at different amazing things that has to do with conflict management. I know this is not the first time you're hearing about conflict management, and we've discussed in previous week. We've introduced to you. I've introduced to you introduction to peace. What is the meaning of peace? We've discussed that in the first episode. In the second episode, we also discussed the definition of conflict. We look at in the third week. We look at the different some concepts in peace building, and the one we pay attention to is peace building. Peace building help us do a lot around what is the long-term plan we have in resolving conflict. And this is the last week of the episode on P Zone, which is the first phase. We are still going to do another phase around P Zone, but this is the first phase, the fourth episode of the fourth phase, and of the first phase, sorry. So today we'll be looking at poetry for peace. Um, and we'll be discussing, I'll be sharing with you the conflict manager. The conflict zone manager, the human with balance, ever positioned at a glance, seemingly calm and superior from afar, very experienced and has traveled so far. Far and near, he moved without a star, but engages between the scenes, saying the untold stories. He warned, saying, avoid the caravan of hate. He mentioned that the rate is high. He tried to let her know the cost. Emotion, the value to be lost, but only a few could know and calculate. He's only a manager, only at the gate. The fight between couples are deep, but simpler only to the loner. The landlowners loner craves for peace and take national debts for granted. Cases are in sizes and the ports are unique. You are a doctor, you have the physique. Not the looks or the age, the color or the stance. What's important than the rage is the will and the sage available on the stage. Anger of war. Are you careful about the war or the bridge is so fragile and broken? That is the poem for today on the conflict zone manager. Now, if you also reflect on that aspect, you discover that we have a lot to talk about the superiority cloning of the mediator or somebody who did, or this feeling that there is always you are superior when you are trying to separate fight between two persons. However, that shouldn't be because you must not do it with that toga of superiority. And you are not there to be the savior. You are there to stir up the conversation between two people. And deeply, when we move on to the next segment, um, you understand what the poem is talking about when he's saying it's not about the look or the age, it's not about the color or the stance. What is important than the rage is the will and the sage available on the stage. That is what I call the the punch of the poem. And that stanza, I believe that if you pay attention to it, you will understand critically what other things we'll be looking at under conflict management. So I believe this is not the first time you're hearing about conflict management. You will understand that conflict is a process of having chaos or disagreement, or is a disagreement that happen between two or more people based on their incompatible needs, goals, interests, and what have you, breaking their relationship if need be. So how do you manage conflict as a conflict manager? So this is a process where disputes or destructive conflicts are resolved, where negative results are minimized and positive results are prioritized. So at PepNet, we believe, Peace Education and Practice Network, we believe that conflict management is about the process where disputes are resolved. So we try to take action on making conflict, which we believe that is a neutral and natural state of mind. We try to utilize it to become constructive. And when we use them constructively, we believe that it's going to yield a positive result. And we try to maximize that, the positive results, while we try to delimit and reduce the negative impact on people. So it also means the ability of being able to identify and handle conflict, one, sensibly. There's also another way to identify conflict fairly. It's also another way to identify conflict efficiently. I want to believe that you're following. Now, we'll be looking at five major conflict management skills, and I want you to pay attention. So, number one, we have avoidance and denial or ignoring. So, is not all conflict that you experience that you tend to avoid. It's not all conflict that you experience that you engage, rather. Sorry. So, there are some conflict based on the situation it find you, based on situation, one, based on power relationship, based on the time needed or the time it requires. It will also tell you if uh, if you need to avoid it. So avoidance is the process of totally avoiding a conflict. That's just the word. It's a process where you stay away from conflict. When you see it from afar, you do what, you try and avoid it. You don't allow it to get to a point where it happens. So this is also will lead us to the strategic withdrawal, the second one. So we have on that first one, we have denial. There's some conflict that will happen, and or there are situations that will warrant that you need to deny that something happened. It's not lying. It's an ability for you to assume that uh, just to presently now there's interpersonal conflict going on in me, possibly because I have not eaten today, or I've not eaten in a while and I'm hungry. So, for instance, is an example. So, it's important that knowing that you and you have something to do, it's better you just ignore, or you avoid things that will now trigger further conflict. Now, strategic withdrawal is on the other note, tells us that for some conflict, looking at those metrics, to one, I said you pay attention to the situation of the conflict, you pay attention to the power relationships, you pay attention to the time taking and the value you place on the conflict. So the first thing, the situation, the second, the power relation, the third, the time needed, and the fourth, the value placed on the relationship will determine how or when or how to deal with this kind of conflict. So the second one is strategic withdrawal. And in strategic withdrawal means that when you see a particular conflict, you are already in the situation. You cannot compared to the content, you do all you can to ensure that you de-invest in the relationship gradually. So it will get to a point that uh, the relationship will lose value, and you will not be able to there won't be you will not be pointed at as the wrong person. So at this point is a process of de-investing relationship and going back to re-energize or strategize for you to come back when you have the time, when you are more powerful, when you have the chance to challenge the situation heads on. That is strategic withdrawal. Now, the other one is confrontation. I know you might be wondering why confrontation? Because we're dealing with peace building. Peace building is not an art of being pacifist or being phlegmatic in your action or being a passive member of an issue. Being a peace builder means that you understand the situation and you are using the best approach to deal with the situation in order to maintain long lasting relationship. So if you are in a relationship that is either you are being abused and you have equal power, or you know that is not as valuable as that. Maybe there is a maybe you don't value the relationship or the time involved. It might be a temporary relationship, and you might not be held on to anything or any tradable. Then at that point you can confront the situation. A situation where people are being suppressed, and over time they know that it will take strategic actions of confrontation. However, we have different form of confrontation. You can do it in a peaceful way. You can also communicate it in a polite way. Attending to this might be a difficult situation or a difficult conversation, but I'm telling you that it is rewarding sometimes for the other party to also know that you have some leverage, and that is if you have considered the situation to be right. It is advisable only when you have the power to manage the situation. It's also advisable only when you can you can manage the situation, and you will not be shortchanged when you confront the situation. And it's also important, especially when you think that there is this situation needs attention of other persons. Sometimes you might confront the situation not because you can handle it, but because you need ally to or partners to join you to challenge the situation. We have on the list, we have joint problem solving. This is when parties in conflict, either three, come together, think about what the problem is, reach a consensus, communicate the issue, deliberate on the issue, dialogue on the issue, negotiate where they need to negotiate, and reach a consensus. So under this, we have the issue, as I mentioned, we have the tool of communication, we have the weapon of compromise, we have the equipment of collaboration. And in some cases, you might also want to check out competition. Though Peace Education and Practice Network, we don't encourage competition, but we encourage healthy ones if it's going to yield the expected result. Competition is good if it's done properly. So we have communication, we have compromise, we have competition, we have collaboration, and other form of things that are linked up with you coming together to solve the issue or solve the conflict. Now, it must be done within you, and we encourage this a lot. We encourage dialogue, that when there's an issue in your family or in your workplace, you call forth for a focus group discussion, communicate the matter, have a discussion around it, dialogue the issue, make let people be very comfortable to share their opinions, trade concerns and conversations, and focus on negotiating. And when you are negotiating, you know that you are separating the person from the issue. And when you are also negotiating, you know that you are paying more attention to the issues and not the people involved. And if there's a need, you need to use objective criteria or objective elements to determine what is right per time and what best to be done. Now, the last one, which is the final on the list, the final item on the list is third party intervention. This is a conflict management skills that help you when the joint problem solving mechanisms couldn't be maybe after you've tried all you could in trying to resolve it and you can't reach a resolution. It is advisable that you get involved a third party to intervene to help you realize what both parties cannot realize, and to help you, the parties involved, reach a common ground. This is important because most conflicts are taken to the highest level of direct violence, structural violence, or cultural violence because these are not taken into consideration. Now, the third party intervention helps us look at if you're finding it difficult to get a conflict resolved, it is advisable that you call a mediator or an arbitrator or a conciliator who can help you. And there are other, we have neutral, um, early neutral evaluation, depending on the approaches you want to use in reaching a common ground or reaching a resolution. And when it is like that, you can now move up to other aspects of the discourse. Now, we at PepNet will really try to discourage people from taking actions to litigation, that is, using legal means to handle issues that are not criminal or that are not capital intensive. I mean, issues that are has to do with murder case or other ones that are criminal inclined. Aside from those ones, we encourage that you pay attention to all these other alternative dispute resolution mechanisms under the third party intervention. Seek the help of a mediator, seek the help of a counselor, seek the help of a conciliator, seek the help of an arbitrator, and try to see how that process goes before you now think of, oh, we couldn't resolve, then let's get to a legal system or let's get into litigation to get it resolved. It's important we take all these steps so that we reach better, we delimit or we decongest the cases we have in court, knowing the countries we might find ourselves or in different parts of the world, that you might not easily, the judiciary might not help easily to help you fast track the judgment. However, when you take these other steps, it will help you minimize costs, prevent you from wastage of time and effort, and help you use the other time to manage other things in your life. So I want to encourage you, please and please try and use any of these conflict management skills and see how best is going to go. Now, this is Peace Zone, and we have come to the end of Peace Zone for the first phase and the fourth episode on YouTube. So I want to encourage you, if you have any concern, um, which has to do with either counseling and mediation for peace, either uh, either education for peace initiative, or issues around peace building, governance, and development, please feel free to reach out to Peace Education and Practice Network. And knowing that we are based in Abuja and we also have peace ambassador across the globe, we will advise and encourage you to reach out to us at any point in time via admin at ppepnet.com, admin@ppepnet.com. And if you have any question, you can also reach me via the WhatsApp link or the WhatsApp line, and I'm so sure that we will be very eager to attend to you. If you have any project you want to collaborate with us on, or you see any PepNet project, just like the one we will be doing on the 21st of September 2022 to commemorate the International Day of Peace, it's important that we have this such program. If you're interested in partnering with us or our Education for Peace project, please reach out to us. In any way you are connected to peace building, please do well to reach out to us, and we are willing to work with you. We encourage collaboration and not competition. So thank you very much for joining me on today's episode of Peace Zone, and I will love to also get in touch. Please get in touch with us. Get in touch with Peace Education and Practice Network. Get in touch with Peace Zone crew to get the best out of the next episode or the next phase of this project. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful evening or morning or afternoon, depending on wherever you are listening or watching me. Thank you very much. Bye for now.